Hello, cadets. Welcome to another episode of General Howitzer's Big Monster Briefing Room. This episode, we have a monster who is not so big, but he's got big, long tentacles. So that should be interesting to talk about. Welcome. Let's bring up my second in command, my right hand, Major Millie Hazzard.
Hello, everybody. We welcome all the cadets. We're so happy to have you here. Of course, you feel free to comment at any time that you want. And
have you had your coffee?
I'm having some tea tonight. Not coffee, but it's a little bit
coffee
of tea.
And the Yonkers there.
What about your peach tea, General, so we can get some of those noises?
I have my peach tea right here, as always.
I
will not do a show without peach tea.
Thank you.
And this is not peach mango tea. This is the real deal. This is peach tea. Oh. I can taste the pits in it.
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
So they've ground up little pits in the drink. I know it. I can feel it. So
that's fantastic. I was thinking that what we should do is, of course, promote that our dear friend Rory Penland is having a very special event this Saturday at 9 p.m.
Why?
Well, because we love Rory, and he's a member. He's a beloved member of our network, and so I think it behooves us all to do that.
Okay. Yeah, it's tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Oh, I'm sorry, Saturday
night. It's not tomorrow night. It's Saturday night.
It's Saturday at 9 o'clock. He's going to do another voice challenge. He did 601 voices back a couple of months ago. Now he's going to try to do at least 800 voices in an hour. So I hope he can do it.
No one else has ever even attempted it. I don't think anyone else has ever attempted it.
I don't think he's done a dry run on it. I mean, he could get, vocal laryngitis, 3/4 of the way through. I don't know. Peach tea. Damn. So there it is. I do a few voices, but he does, I guess, over 800. Otherwise, he wouldn't try to do it.
Exactly. And I think he's going to go over 1,000, to be honest with you. I think he'll go over 1,000.
Well, I don't know if he has that many ready, but okay. Yeah, that would be nice.
And I want him to do.
He's going for an hour.
He's going for an hour, and it's however
many. It's 600 in about 45 minutes. So, logic would tell you, it's going to be 800 to 850, probably somewhere in there.
Exactly. And the other thing we want to promote is that directly after this show, at the top of the hour at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have No Icing.
Why?
That's Sandy D's show. We love Sandy D. We love all the members of our network. She's going to be there. Boondoggy's going to be there. It's going to... Who else is?
I'm just trying to send you up. That's all. I want to see those hands go up there.
They're like, no.
Of course, we want to promote Sandy D and No Icing.
Yes. We love her.
Gonna be fun.
Exactly.
I got two notices to do right up out of the gate here. If you're watching this show, spoilers. Okay, we go through a timeline of the entire movie, so you're gonna see everything in the movie, and we're gonna pick it apart. So yeah, there's spoilers. Also, warning. Sometimes this show does have gory stuff in the movies. It has, potential nudity and sexual situations. So again, if you're a kid, you probably don't want to be watching the show. If you have kids that are watching this show, you probably should take them away from their phone. Because this movie, it's got some gore in it. There is some nudity, but I censored for you here. So, let's bring up our guest. We have a special guest. He's going to be our guy for all things from the depths of the earth and the ocean. He's a monster specialist. His name is Robert Sandler. Let's bring him on up.
Hello. Hi, glad to be meeting you guys. Hanging out with you guys today.
Great stash.
Oh, thank you very much. I penciled it myself.
Thank you. That one rivals even mine. Thank you very much. Very John Waters. I like it.
So sorry.
Go ahead. No, please.
You're the guest. How are you guys doing tonight?
We're good.
Very good. Thank you for asking.
And the potential nudity, it's very, very minimal. I'm surprised you censored it because it's literally a butt. Am I allowed to say butt cheek?
Sure.
This is an adult show. It's a butt cheek and a topless sort of side scene, and it's the director's girlfriend. So
I was going to say she doesn't have much of a top, so it's not really nudity. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
They just wanted to raise it up, get a little bit the edge for that R rating, because at the time, if you were a horror movie and you didn't have an R and it didn't have a little bit of nudity, the kids weren't going to go for it. They were going for the teenagers, and that's why you watch most of these movies, because you're hoping, I hope there's going to be boobs. So it's not a lot. It's actually, I would show that if I had any demon spawn myself, I would definitely put this on the list of movies to show them before they got into the gratuitous horror and gore and stuff that is just normal these days.
Well, and I'm going to mention this in the timeline. There was a half gratuitous nudity scene after the nudity scene, where she's only draped in half a sheet that's only covering half of her body, and you're not really sure why they went to the trouble to do that anyway, because they had the scene before.
Actually.
Oh, okay.
It was an oops that they kept.
Okay. Well, then we'll talk about that when we get to it in the timeline. Let's go ahead and start. That's the title credit comes right out of the gate. This, by the way, is a Paramount film, which I was really surprised. Usually the big studios don't go for these type of I don't know if I can call it a B horror film. It's definitely on a lower budget than something you would think Paramount would do.
Well, it was back in the day. This was the kind of films everybody was making.
It's an older film. No, I'm kidding. At the beginning of the movie, they show in the credits, they show a bunch of old scenes of miners in a mining community, interlaced with headlines about the mine.
A little bit 100 years ago.
Yeah, it was 1912, so it was 69, 70 years before this movie takes place. There's it. It's the Silver City Gazette. Miners report attacks in the mine, and then the mine's closed down.
These are silver mines. This was a silver mining town.
Correct.
This is the opinion of the leading mining men.
There you go. So, we got one more old picture and then one more Gazette thing. There we go. There's the guys in the mine. Doesn't look like the mine in the movie, but I'm kidding. A mine is a mine is a mine.
They did shoot in 3 different mines towards the end of the film.
Interesting.
They built a set. They built a set of a mine, but an accident happened, and the entire set burnt down in 10 minutes. So they had to shoot in an actual mine because they had no other option.
Well, they had a great scene that adds a lot of value to the movie. The scene, the mine scene with the pool in the middle of it. It's a great mine area.
That scene was actually that was in an old shopping center. They actually built that set.
All right, so the mine's closed, and now it's 1981. And speaking of things that could burn up easily, this wooden set, very impressive, and they take a lot of nice shots of it. It's all made of wood. Somebody put that thing together, and I'm wondering since it was built in 1912, why it's not a little more moth-eaten, or I should say termite-eaten. But there it is. Looks brand spanking new in a couple of shots. Okay. So here's the team that goes in to reopen the mine after 69 years. 69 years later, they decide to reopen the mine. So that's bureaucracy for you. Oh, it's a crazy old man alert. This is actually John Lormer. He's a character actor, and actually the year after this, he plays one of his most famous characters, and that's Nate Grantham in the movie Creepshow, which we will be doing on this show next week. So, Bedelia, I want my cake. So he plays a great crazy old man.
And he's played a lot of crazy old men.
Yes.
He has if you look him up, he's got quite the IMDb credit list to his name.
Yes. He plays a lot of sweet old men too, in like TV shows and stuff. So, but in horror movies, he plays usually crazy old men. All right, so we meet Roger and Mark, and they make it pretty obvious that these guys, I mean, these two are greenhorns. Uh, they don't belong in this little backwards town, in the mines. And again, these guys are all here to blow open the mine, open it back up, and they're about to release a powerful creature who hasn't eaten in 69 years. So I guess he was hibernating.
Yeah, I've got tons of information about that creature, or creatures as it was supposed to be.
Yes. Well, and again, at the end of the movie, there is some question as to whether it's still. I don't think it's the same creature at the end. It seems like there's more than one.
Yeah, it was. So, besides being a monster fan myself, and I love things with tentacles, as you can see all around me, I've got all sorts of collectibles. In real life, I worked with my father on. My father was now. Several years late, Jeffrey L. Sandler, motion picture, sound and film editor.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, this being a sound film editor back in the day was so much different than it is today, because when everything was analog, a sound editor, they had all of their sounds on film, and he had a library of about 3,000 sounds, and those were all in boxes that had like gunshots, door creaks, animal sounds, you name it, on and on. And when he was doing a film or doing a project, he'd just pull the things out as he needed to use them, and then at the end of it, he'd say, "Robert, here, put everything back in order." And he paid me $50 every time I reorganized. And back in the early 80s, that was a lot of money for a kid.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the reasons why we invited you to do this movie, and we picked this movie for this show is because your father was he was the sound editor on the film. Yes, am I right?
He was the supervisor.
It's a different credit at the end of the film, and we have that. It's the last actual slide in the show. It says like sound advisor or something like that.
Supervisor.
Supervisor. There you go.
Yeah.
So, but he's really the sound editor on this.
Basically, his job was everything that was not music or spoken dialogue. All the sound effects.
Now, did you not tell me too that you are the creature sound in this movie? You're the sound of the Boogens.
The story on this is basically he had to come up with a new sound for this creature, because he hadn't seen the thing. He only had a written description of what the thing was supposed to be like, and he didn't have some great shots of it, so he was stumped, and he knew I was always messing around with with his sounds, playing around on the editing deck with them, and he said, "Hey, see if you can come up with something for this." So the description that we had of the creature before we even saw it, it was supposed to be a prehistoric slug that had a shell and stood about 5 feet tall and about 6 feet long, and so the description we had, it didn't have any tentacles. It was a snail. It was big. It moved really fast because the fact that it was so large, and the mouth didn't have eyes or anything. It was like a snail. It had like a giant maw full of teeth, and it basically, when it attacked you, it was supposed to like grab your face and just rip it off. And the sound, I came up with multiple sounds for the whole thing. The movement, wet burlap sacks dragged across, sand and dirt and whatever. The breathing of it was, and this is what it was in the sound list: vampire breathing. The heartbeat was a heartbeat that I sped up and slowed down as the rhythm, so it would get really fast and then really slow, and sort of a wave like that. But the roar I came up with from scratch, and I thought of the most terrifying sound to hear at night in the dark, and that was a dog and cat fight. But to mess around with it, I reversed it, and then I slowed it down until it became this guttural roar. And to test it, my father was working at a place called Glen Sound. It's out in Burbank, California.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's still around, but it was a big sound house. They did TV, movies, everything.
Right.
And
they did a lot of TV. Yeah.
The building was a long building that had at the middle of it a cross intersection, and the light switches were down at the far end of one hallway. And what we did is we set up speakers at each of the ends of the hallway, and we had the editing deck right there in the middle. And it was me, my father, and an assistant that he had that I think he went uncredited. I'm not sure, because I can't remember his name, so I wouldn't recognize it if I saw it. I was too young. And they played the sound from each speaker in random order, like to simulate hearing it, down in the mine shafts.
Yes.
By the time that we were done with it, they were both too scared to turn on the light switch at the end of the hallway. And I was I made the sound and I was rather unnerved myself. They sent me, the kid, to turn on the light switch afterward. And we knew we had a winning sound.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. Let's pull up the timeline again. We meet Mary Chapman, who owns the house, the rustic house where the two greenhorns and their girls are going to stay while they open up this mine. As fate would have it, she runs off into ditches when she sees deers. So she walks to the house in the next slide. And what are this is the crazy part. What are those marks on the top of the house in the snow? Do you see those on the top of the house? It looks like tentacle slash marks. Did you ever notice that?
I never did. You know what? I don't think they're slash marks. I think they're shadows from the trees.
Yeah, well, I think it's supposed to be just a runoff. I think like water runoff from snow. But the first time I saw it, I was just like, "Hey, wait a minute! could those be?" So anyway, she goes into the house. I think it's Boogens tracks. That's what I think. She goes into the house, and we have next slide. Crazy old man alert! He's out there now. I want my cake, Medea. So Miss Chapman turns on the power in the house, and she goes down to the creepy basement to light the pilot light for the water heater. Now she starts hearing noises down in the basement, and again, those noises seem to be heading up into the house as well. She starts to get scared. She actually grabs a knife, and you think, okay, that's good idea. She's got something to protect herself with, but still, whatever it is, drags her down in her skivvies to the basement.
Why do I not remember this happening this early in the film?
Yeah, she's the one that was setting up the house for the kids, and that's the first victim. She's dragged down into the basement. Did you pass over the in the beginning? Did you pass over, I guess, the explosion where they blow up the where they blow up the entrance to the mine? Yes, I said they opened the mine. I guess I didn't say they blew it open with dynamite. They brought dynamite with them, and yes, they've unleashed this creature. All right, creatures. I'm not seeing. I didn't see it, so now I'm remembering. Yes, go watch the movie. It's actually rather well done. Editing, the film editing is good. The sound editing is great. Thanks, Dad. How am I gonna say my dad did a horrible job? I mean, no, of course not.
There is some stuff in this history that was not great, but this is one of the better ones. This is kind of a formulaic film. I mean, they go for the fake scares with dogs and cats and squirrels and such, but and again, you don't get to see the real monster until the last 7-8 minutes of the film. But yes, story wise, it's not a bad written film. Acting wise, the actors did a decent job in it. Yeah, there's a lot of plot holes and
and points that we're going to cover here. The sheriff the next day finds her car out. He does runs the tags. They're down in the mine again the next day. The girls haven't shown up yet. They're girlfriends. They're on the way. And this is it. No. They're continuing to blow open parts of the mine. And Roger there, got to get my notes here. Punk ass Roger, yes, will have to get new mine maps for his boss. But he just wants to stoop his girl when she shows up, you know? So at first I thought maybe that this guy was cast because he looks like Dana Carvey, but Dana Carvey really didn't become famous on Saturday Night Live until about 3 years after this. So
yeah, everybody's young on this. Remember, they're all
wrong about that.
No, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist the pun.
All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, now we meet the girls. They're on their way. It's Jessica with the cowboy hat on and her cute friend Trisha, who's absolutely adorable. So there's Trisha. Jessica is kind of slutty. Sorry, Central Casting. There she is. But again, based on her boyfriend's performance up to this point, okay, it fits. Her dog Tiger, who is a big pain in the ass in this movie, he's a poodle.
Actually, not a poodle.
Okay.
And 2 dogs were actually used for Tiger. I was going over the Tiger is a Bichon Frise. So it's not actually a poodle. Everybody thinks it's a poodle, but it's not. And there were 2 dogs used for Tiger. So
it's a poodle. Come on, look at him. All right. So anyway, he's a schnickerdoodle, right? So the mining crew uncovers a nice little blue lit cavern. This is the cavern I'm talking to that adds a lot of value. To this
believe it or not, this is actually a set. This was actually this was in an abandoned store. Where did it say they were? They built it. The cave set was built in an abandoned store in Utah. But while filming, there's a fireball scene. The set catches fire, and the entire building burnt down in 10 minutes.
So, kind of like the house does at the end of the film. And also in this mine, they find, or in this room, this actual set, they find skulls. Let's show that nice nifty skull. And they find other bones piled up like a feeding spot. Actually, one of the characters actually points that out later, and the other character's like, yes, that's peculiar. I'd be like, wait a minute, you're right. Get the hell out of here. Okay, so now we know we're in Silver City because there's the sign. Trisha tries to make friends with one of the locals right away, but it ain't happening. This woman is funny. I bet filming this scene with this woman was hysterical. I bet they had a lot of fun doing that. Okay, I want you to look at her like she's an idiot. So it ain't happening. So at the house, there's no hot water. That clever little Boogens blew out the pilot light. That's why I made it a point to tell, the woman turned the pilot light on. She lit the pilot light for the water heater, but for some reason it's not on, when Trish has to go down. Because everybody's got to go down to the basement in this movie. Everybody gets a creepy shot at the top of the stairs of the basement in this movie. So okay, back to the creepy cellar. Tiger even gets a shot at the top of the stairs. Oh, we got blackness. I can't see. Okay, so we couldn't see that slide because it was just too damn dark. So anyway, what happens is she goes down into the cellar. She starts hearing noises, and it's Tiger. Tiger's the big pain in the butt. It's a fake scare. The next morning, or actually that afternoon, I should say, Roger's boss busts his balls about being so horny all the time. And Mark's being set up to be with the friend Trisha, and he's thinking it's going to be disastrous. That's Mark on the right. Crazy old man alert. Kids, that's all they think about is sex. So Roger tickles Jessica's fancy when they get back to the house. And Tiger's still a pain in the ass. And Mark meets Trisha, who is still showering. I guess a couple hours later. She takes long showers. We got product placement, Coors beer.
The king of beers.
Thank you, Coors. Now, you said this was filmed in I thought it was filmed in Omaha. You said it was Utah?
It was actually filmed in a couple of different places.
Okay.
Some of it was filmed in Utah. Some of it was filmed in where were there were about 4 different mines that they shot out.
Okay.
But yeah, they shot it. Why? What's the question?
I was just saying, you said it was shot in Utah, right?
That was one of the. That was where most of the stuff was shot. Most of the interiors, like the interior of the house, was actually at an Elks Lodge in Utah. But they shot it they used, I think, about 4 different mine locations.
Okay.
But yeah, most of it was shot in Utah.
Okay.
And it was like 20 below in the night shots.
Yeah, I noticed several shots in this movie there. You can actually see the snow coming down.
Yeah.
And the characters look cold. The sheriff even makes a comment about that when you first meet him. He's on the radio going, "Yeah, I'm freezing my ass off out here." And I'm guessing that was an improvised line that he made up right at the spot.
As my mother would say, it was a tit-bit nipply.
Okay. And speaking of which, Tricia saying, "Oh, I love a man who drinks Coors." And speaking of the sheriff, he stops by looking for Miss Chapman because he found her car, but they don't know what happened to her. That's the next line. So now we know, hey, there's a woman that's disappeared. You know, we drug her car out of the ditch. But the characters are really like, well, okay, well, whatever. They move on. We're horny. Get out of here.
80s horror films, there is a ridiculous amount of plaid in 80s horror films.
Yeah, you know, you're right. You know, anything with a rustic house or a sleepaway camp, yeah, you're gonna find flannel shirts. You know, plaid flannel shirts. That's a costume designer thing. That's their decision. Okay, next up, our naughty poodle. Here's the Boogens. Oh no, that's the boss. That's Mr. Deering, his name is. He's leaving for the night. And hey, old man alert again. Old crazy old man alert. There he is. I'll show you. Why am I not seeing my notes here? Did I go one page too far? That's what it is. I went one page too far. I bet. Yeah, there we go. Crazy old man alert. I'm up to no good. That rarely happens on the show, but I'm at the back end of the book. I filled up a whole book with these shows with my notes. So the kids go into town for dinner, and they leave Tiger all alone at the house. So I got to admit, these 2 dogs that you're talking about, they did a lot of tricks in this film. I mean, they did a lot. So you got to admire that.
I'm sure they had a prop dog too, because some of the things that happen to this dog you could not make a stunt dog do.
You know, if they did a prop dog, and there's the creepy shot at the top of the stairs. Even Tiger gets one. How the door got open, I don't know, but there it is.
Hey, it's an old house. There's drafts. You know, doors creak open all the time.
There you go. Because even in the first scene when Miss Chapman gets dragged down to the cellar, he closes the door after he pulls her into the cellar with one of his tentacles. which I think is hysterical.
I have to watch that again.
He took the time to close the door. So, and again, down in the cellar for such a crappy house, you don't expect basement walls to look as nice as they did here in this basement. I mean, they're nice basement walls, and again, the slide is so dark you can't really see it, unfortunately. So anyway, something comes after Tiger, knocks over the trash can in the kitchen. Tiger hides in the cupboard. He's a smart dog. Obviously watches Benji movies. He knows what to do. And back at the Silver City Tavern, they're drinking and playing some pool.
Hey, Greg, if you want to see if Tiger's the only survivor, go on YouTube, follow the link. The movie's all there. You don't even have to pay for it.
There you go. We've actually shared the link with our fans here early on this week. We find out that Jessica is also a hustler, little slut. She's going to take some of these guys for some of their money. And this is actor John Crawford. Not Joan Crawford, but John Crawford. He tells Roger to take his truck and go get those new maps. But he's been in a lot of stuff. He's been in a lot of TV, a lot of movies. And from what you told me before we had the show started, this was his last film.
Yeah, this was his last acting role, apparently. Where was it? Veteran character actor John Crawford's last film.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if he retired or if he passed away. Actually, it's IMDb. I've got it pulled up. I can just see when he died. Let's see.
If you're a Dirty Harry fan,
he died in 2010.
Yeah, okay, so he retired.
So he retired after this.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. If you're a Dirty Harry fan, you can watch The Enforcer. He's the mayor that they kidnap in Dirty Harry that Dirty Harry has to rescue. But he's done a lot of stuff. So anyway, Roger comes home and there's trash all over the floor. Why? How? I don't know, because they just moved in that afternoon and obviously their first dinner was in town. So that makes no sense whatsoever. I do see a Budweiser can on the floor.
He was drinking Coors.
They were drinking Coors. Don't let the Coors people see that scene.
Wait, is that a Coors can at the top of the screen?
There is. There is a Coors can at the top, but there's a Budweiser can closer to the camera.
So somebody was cheating. Apparently, she was cheating on him with somebody that drank Budweiser.
There you go. So he grabs a Budweiser instead of going to bed, which is what he should have done. He can't sleep, evidently, and he's decided to drive in the middle of the night and drive while he's drinking it, on top of it, which I found interesting.
Now, this is actually this shot is slightly out of context now, as we haven't seen the monster yet, since it's all monster cam. They went with a lot of, this is the monster in the basement. This is the monster under the bed. And in this case, it's the monster under the truck.
Under the car. Yeah. Under the truck in this case.
With the way they've described the monster to us, like to my father and me, on paper, it's like, if this thing's so big, how does it get down, like under a car? I mean, how did there's a lot of what's unpausable, in continuity, things that could technically be errors or just, hey, it
has long tentacles. Maybe it just put the tentacles under the truck. Maybe it was on the other side of the truck looking through the window and he didn't see
under the manhole or
something. and the tentacles went under the truck.
Suspension of belief is the word here.
Anyway, the Boogens grabs him and pulls him under the truck. He gets away from it a couple of times, keeps, lashing out at him with these.
Oh, you went dark.
Yeah, well, what happened was a scam artist tried to call me just now. I go into the shows on my phone. Better, works better for me. Anyway, less problems. My computer's old. Anyway, so say goodnight, Roger. And Mark and Tricia, they get back to the house, and hey, they like each other, and they both like Rory Fires.
Is she wearing an engagement ring?
She's got a ring on her right hand. on the ring finger.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm like,
yeah. I was going to say something about that, and I stopped myself because I realized it was the right hand. So promise ring? I don't know. Anyway, she's in front of the roaring fire with him here now. Mark. She evidently likes the guy. And Tiger pops in. So he's not dead yet. We're praying for it. We're hoping for it, but he's not dead yet. And that's the next slide, which is the censored slide I was telling you about. There it is. And you can't see it anyway. So,
all right. So I have to pull this in. This is something that's in the IMDb trivia that I didn't know that's actually really interesting. So during filming, the director, James Conway, decided to add nudity to spice the film up. Anne Marie Martin refused, but his future wife, Rebecca Balding. So the ring that she's wearing could be a ring that he gave to her because they basically got married 4 weeks into filming.
wow.
So his future wife Rebecca agrees, though she was nervous about it. To keep her from being too embarrassed, Conway cleared the set for the scene where her bare butt is exposed to several people and only one shot of her close-ups. Then those shots were edited together with other scenes to make it seem that other people could see her butt off screen. Conway again asked Balding if she'd be willing to go topless for her sex scene, and she again agreed. But she ended up fully nude for one shot, but she was covered by a sheet, so only side nudity and her butt were visible. So,
right.
So that's
we're coming up on that.
That girl is the director's fiance and very soon-to-be wife. And
she became his wife.
Yeah. Apparently, he fell in love with her when they did casting. He said to his co-chair, "I could marry that girl." And
she's adorable.
And the thing is she apparently felt the same way about him because she was the one that proposed to him.
Oh, wow. So he said that, it got back to her, she proposed. I'm going to snag me a director. Okay.
Love him by showing off my entire body on screen.
There you go. Well, of course I'll show off my body. So in the next morning shot that's coming up here, you'll see the half nudity that I'm talking about, and it's pretty well lit. Yeah, the sheet is so draped, it's almost sculpted around her right butt cheek. And I should have got the other shot. This is actually one that's already closed in. But yeah, it's obviously the sheet was set up by a camera person, or they were going for half nudity.
Hey, General, can you hear a banging over my mic? I think if you can, I think the Boogens are wanting to get in on this. I'm not sure. And my Boogens, I mean my upstairs neighbor.
Oh, okay. So now Mark is going to go down into the basement because he thinks that Tiger went down there. Jessica's asked him to look for Tiger, and he finds an opening to the mine. He finds a passageway to the mine there.
Because this is one of those stupid, I wouldn't say goof, but there's an earlier bit where the miners are talking about how this old mining town and all the miners 100 years ago apparently dug connecting shafts from the mines to all the houses, to the basements of all the houses in town. So here's the problem: if the creatures were sealed up in this cavern,
they can still get up to the houses.
Unless there's only one thing. I'm thinking that the cavern that they're in is sealed off from all the other caverns. It's like they're sealed off in their own little corner. But still, why the whole idea of, have you ever heard of a mining town where the mines were connected to all the houses in town? I mean, the purpose that could possibly serve is maybe, so they could get from their homes to their work site easier. or maybe they were mining under the entire town, or who knows what purpose. But yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, well, again, this is not the secret bunker in Berlin, and it's just not Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys. Yeah, it doesn't make that much sense, but there it is. And the old man says that the mine is connected to many of the houses. So they go back to work, or I should say, Mark goes back to work the next day, and they're faced with some vandalism, some crosses in front of the mine opening. Yeah. And there's the next slide where we show the mine opening, and they say danger, death. And there's that beautiful wooden structure that they've made that probably would have burned up in 10 minutes as well.
I think that's actually original mining structure. I don't think they actually
is it
that because you go to a lot.
It doesn't look old,
but I mean, who knows how long these mines have been used? I mean, they're silver mines. They still do silver mining.
Yeah. And we got a crazy old man alert coming up here. Next slide, I think. Yep. There he is. Crazy old man alert. And he's stocking up on dynamite now. So, yeah, he's just loading his pockets full of dynamite. This is not good.
Yeah, and those aren't really sticks of dynamite. They're probably rolls of pennies.
So finally, the boss is like, hey, Mark, have you heard from Roger? We haven't heard from him. Where is he? And then Jessica, right after that, she takes Tiger out for a poop. She finds out that the boss's car is still in the garage, or his truck, I should say. There it is.
With Colorado plates.
What's that?
With Colorado plates.
Yes.
Fire in January of 1981.
There you go. And Tricia is at the local newspaper office. She's actually a news reporter, and she's going to do a story on the mines and closing up on the mines. So she's out of harm's way for now. Jessica takes a shower. Not so much. And Tiger's, squealing and squeaking at the door. There's the Boogens is coming up, and he's freaking out. Shut up, you little shit.
Yeah, this is probably one of the better, when you see the film, this is probably one of the better monster attack scenes.
Yes. So this next shot here, I don't know why, but the minute I saw it, no, not the next shot, actually, I was thinking of the Silence of the Lambs. Precious, precious. It puts the lotion on its skin.
Or else it gets the hose again.
Or else it gets the tentacle. So yes, this grate has been pried open by the Boogens tentacles. And I thought I had a shot of that in here, but evidently not. She looks down there, and here's what I love most about this shot, okay? If you look around the grate there, you'll see little pieces of white fuzzy hair on all sides, which I thought was not only a nice touch, but hysterical because the dog was not that fat.
So you got to see the scene, because I'm still trying to figure out whether there was a cameraman or a puppeteer down there actually grabbing the dog and pulling it through, or whether they actually grabbed, or whether they used a stunt plush dog or something.
But again, that fuzz on both sides of the grate, wow. Was he whacking him from side to side as he was pulling him down?
Yeah, that dog didn't go well.
So now we know for sure Tiger is food for the Boogens. And unfortunately, Jessica gets too close. Whoops! Oh, there she goes. He's trying to pull her down. So yeah, if you're wondering where the idea for tentacle porn came up from, I think it came up from here. That's my guess. And some nasty scratches from these tentacles.
But that's the 80s. The blood is like paint thick.
Owie.
Red.
Yeah, and Jessica's as slutty as she is. We find out here that she takes showers in blue bikini bottoms. So this could have gone, Sharon Stone real fast. So anyway, she makes her way into a storage room where there's no way to escape, and of course the thing knocks down the door right away. Because he's a massive turtle with tentacles. That's what I think he looks like. I think he looks like a turtle with
That's has been described as like a turtle with a very interesting shell design and at least 4 tentacles, which was a far cry of the description that we were given when we were making the making the sound effects and everything.
So, yeah. So he cuts her up, tears her up, and takes her down to the basement. Now, down in the cavern, hey, we need some better lighting down here. Dynamite Dan, there's the demolition man, Dynamite Dan. He sees something in the water, so he goes out there, which is very brave.
Well, it's a silver mine. He thought he saw silver, probably.
So, and hey, it turns out to be Roger, and he's all cut up. Anybody got some Bactine?
Now, here's the problem with that. So if he's been cut up and he's been in the water for a while,
face
why
down,
does the blood still look fresh?
Yes, exactly. That's a very good point, and I'm embarrassed that I didn't catch that one. But you're right. You're exactly right. Crazy old man alert! He's back, and he's got dynamite now. So Mark comes in. He sees Roger. He freaks out. Oh man, he's got to get back to Tricia, make sure she's okay. So the crazy old man is like, hey, you let it out. You opened the mine and you let it out. And now we can get to all the houses. He is actually the son of the one guy that survived the 1912 incident and was institutionalized for saying it was a giant monster that attacked all of us. And look how sad he looks there. He looks very pathetic there.
Oh, but, and to note, I checked on the makeup effects people.
Yes.
Apparently, the makeup effects people that worked on this was their only film that they worked. Their only IMDb listing. Let's put it that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I didn't think that the effects were bad.
The monster, when you do see the monster, and if you go online and you research, the monster, they only had one monster prop. They didn't have a huge budget for the monster, which is why they kept it to showing it at the last part of the film, because they only had
as many of these training films as I have. I've seen a lot worse. Believe me, I've seen a lot worse.
But I mean, this film got some pretty good reviews. Actually, Stephen King actually gave it a high praise.
That's right. So the old man has decided he's going to blow up the mine and close it back up again with the boss still in there. You're the one that let it out. Dynamite Dan gets pulled in right away, so shit's getting serious real fast here. He's been pulled in by something they can't see, tentacles. And let's keep moving. We got to move this here. There's John Crawford again. He's like, hey, well, can I go? Nope, you got to stay. And this is my favorite shot. Look how happy he is to be blowing shit up. Look how happy that old man is in this. And yes, he does blow up the mine and kinds of, it doesn't actually close up the mine though, as we find out later. But it closes up that area, I guess. And then Tricia gets home to the house. She finds all kinds of shit knocked over in the house. Is that blood on the floor?
No, I think it's paint.
Touch it. Make sure. She touches everywhere she sees blood. She touches the blood. I love that. That's blood. And of course, it all leads down to where. She's going to go down the basement. And this is interesting. She takes with her a flashlight and a pitchfork. Good combination, actually. Not bad. Pretty good.
You could have done the flashlight to the pitchfork. Then it's.
And she touches the blood again on the dirt floor. The dirt floor with the nice, walls in that basement. And Jessica's body is right there, and she didn't see it until this very moment. I mean, and she turned on the light in the basement. The basement's pretty well lit in this scene. She goes back upstairs, and man, does that thing have a long tentacle. He gets her right before she gets to the door.
Yeah, the tentacles actually have they have hook claws on the end of them.
Yes. Oh my God, Japanese men are going to watch this and masturbate. That's what that face says to me. So, then Mark shows up. He's called the sheriff. What a good guy. And the sheriff's got a gun. He shoots the Boogens. And then we finally get to see the Boogens. Bam, bam, bam. And he looks so cute. Look at that cute little face coming out of that shell there. He's all bloody now, poor thing. So, okay, Trish, the sheriff's here now. He's got a gun. We're safe. But, hey, don't get too close. It's not dead yet. It bites the sheriff's head. The sheriff takes it all over the place. He's spinning around. He knocks loose the gas. The gas is spewing all over the basement now. This is textbook, horror ending. So yeah, that's a face that only a mother can love right there, the Boogens. But again, not a bad looking creature. He looks pretty cool. So Mark grabs that pitchfork, man. Yeah, make that pitchfork work for you. I'm surprised that the tentacles allowed him to get that close, that he can get a pitchfork through the head. But there it is. And somehow the fire, I can't remember how the fire got started. I mean, the gas was spewing all over the thing, but there was no sparks that I could see. There was no, nobody lit a lighter. Anyway.
Gunshots set it off. Because,
maybe it was the pitchfork hitting the floor. Maybe there was a spark.
Yeah, because it's a mine,
So Mark, because the fire goes up so quick and then blocks their exit, Mark and Tricia head into the mine shaft through the passageway, and the house burns up. Burns up good.
And the house actually burnt up.
Yeah. Well, and there's more Boogens down in the mine shaft. I think. I don't think it was the same Boogens.
There is a shot in the beginning, I think, when before the miners that are like kicking around the mine. If my memory serves me correct, in the water you see actually two of them, two things underneath the water. So, when something moves under the water and it creates that wave. If I'm not mistaken, my memory you see two humps in the beginning.
Oh, okay. Next slide. They're running. They're trying to get away. Again, more Boogens in the caves. We got to move faster because we're at 53 minutes. The boss is there, but he's not there for long. Another Boogens grabs him up into the ceiling. We see his boots kicking around the next slide. No, we don't. We can't see it.
I see it.
So Mark and Tricia, they run, which is a good idea. Run! And somehow they get a stick of dynamite on the way. Maybe they got it from the boss. I can't remember. So they run to the front of the mine. They run out of the mine. The Boogens is chasing them. And he goes, come on, damn it, light. Typical. And I want you to take a note of where they are here at the front of the mine. They are just a few feet out of that mine, right? So he throws the dynamite in, and the mine blows up. The opening to the mine blows up in the next slide. And I'm thinking they got burned up. I mean, that's a pretty big flame.
Maybe they hid in this corner and they grabbed a pickaxe and they dug their way out.
So, again, the mine is definitely closed up. In the next shot, you see it's definitely been blown up. It's closed up. And they should be right there. Next shot, we see them, not a hair out of place. They should be charred with their hair smoldering and no eyebrows. And yet, next slide. There they are. They look beautiful. It's over, dear. It's over. And there were no sequels to this. And then they decide, hey, let's show the house burning up again. That's good. Since we burned up that house, it needs another shot. And that's where the end credits come in. And there's your father's credit, Jeff
right
Sandler,
there in the middle.
Sound supervisor. I did that for you. Okay, real quick, because we got about 2 minutes. Any last words, remarks about this film?
They should never, ever remake this film.
No reboots.
No reboots. Not like they did My Bloody Valentine, the 3D version, much better. The original 3D version, not the one they redid. But yeah, it was. They just don't make films like this anymore, and honestly, they really shouldn't, because these are a time capsule, and it just they would sink in today's movie market. You know, the kids just, it wouldn't be enough unless the gore was gratuitous, the nudity was gratuitous. They were dropping the F-bombs all over the place.
That's true.
And yeah, it's just let sleeping Boogens lie.
Well, Mr. Dead Guy Sadler, Robert's Dead Guy Sadler, thank you for joining us on this show. We'll definitely have you back on again soon to talk about another monster that's come up from the depths of the earth or the oceans. Anything Lovecraftian, as we talked about earlier, we'll pull you in. Thanks again.
Anything Lovecraftian, anything with demons, anything with well, if you know what this is, anything with demons from hell. You know what this is, don't you? I'm sure you know what this is. Tale from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
Oh, okay.
So excellent prop replica, by the way.
That one.
Yeah, great film.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, thank you for watching, everyone, and keep an eye out for those big monsters.